On this episode, I'm talking non-government jobs that I've held over the course of my career and some fun facts that, frankly, I haven't shared before. So go ahead, push play, and I'll catch you on the inside. Welcome back, Bold Move Besties, to another episode of She Built Success. I'm your host, Claudia. Let's get on into it. Now, if you're new here on She Built Success, go ahead and hit the subscribe button on YouTube. I would love for you to be able to get every episode as it drops. And if you're on your audio listening podcast platform of choice, hit the subscribe button as well and go ahead and leave a review. All right, let's get into it. So today I want to talk about, I tend to talk about government contracting and business to present, but I never really talked about some of the jobs, non-governmental, that I had. And I actually want to give y'all like an insight into some of where I was going, some of the jobs and interests that I had before starting government contracting. So let's see. When I was a kid, I think I told this story before, but I'll say it again. When I was a kid, about middle school-ish time frame, I used to, in the summers, I was a latchkey kid, so we would be at home after summer camp, and I would have this game where I would try to race to see how quick I can get ready to get out the door. Like literally like get ready, get dressed, have breakfast. In this case, it was lunch, and then get out the door. And I would time myself. And I would time myself because I wanted to set a standard. So it takes me X amount of time to do these things. And that kind of translated and followed me throughout life. So I did that with like getting ready to get out the house. I did that with like doing dishes. And there's one other thing I did, but those are the two that come to mind, top of mind. And so it was not new to me, but I knew I did not want to do for jobs fast food. I just knew that was like a non-negotiable, like no fast food. But my first non-paid job I was an administrative intern for a state licensing company. And so I would do things like filing and organizing files. Now, I did not know back then that was a thing that I actually liked. I liked doing like the organizations or alphabetizing or color coding. But again, I made it a game. I was like, how quickly can I alphabetize these licenses? It was like, I feel like it was like taxi licenses, and I don't remember all of them. Like people, when taxi cab drivers would apply for their licensing, it would go through this state entity. And so I was there as an administrative intern. It was unpaid. So I did things like that. And again, no fast food. I wasn't old enough to do a paid job yet. So by the time I get old enough to do a paid job, I've always been no fast food. So it was no fast food. And so my teen years, I had a job, in my freshman year of high school, I had a job where I, again, did more administrative stuff at a state level at a train company. And I would do filings, but then I also started taking on receptioning and like answering phones and customer calls. But I was always like the cherry, and I guess I'm not gonna say naive, but the youngest person. I was an intern that ended up turning into a paid position. And so I would kind of go every summer or when I was off. I even did it when I was off. I think my freshman year of college, I would go to that train company and do the administrative type work. But I would like organize things. I'd work with the marketing folks. I'd work with the IT folks. Like it was a small operation, but I got to see a little bit of everything. But primarily, it was still in the administrative realm. Now, in high school, the other job that I had was Target. So to this day, whenever I see somebody in khaki and red that does not work at Target, I do think of Target because, well, that was one of my jobs. Now there, I was a cashier. And what I learned in that job was, bring a lot of lotion, because no matter how many times you be exchanging money I guess I'm really dating myself. Now y'all be using debit cards, but at the cash register and you're scanning stuff, like your hands get really dry, even if you just keep the lotion beside you. So I learned that was my takeaway. Now I only did Target for I think it was like 3 months, and then I was over it, over it on so many levels. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this one. So I tapped out. So those are kind of some of my coming up non-governmental jobs. Then fast forward into college, so I get an actual internship with the Fortune 500, which eventually turned into an actual full-time career. But I was fortunate enough to work a help desk. So at this point, we're kind of in the IT. Well, I am in the IT space, both professionally as an intern, but then also in studies in college. And so I could remember going into the interview for this internship. And now, mind you, I am smart. So in high school, I was not the one to study. I did not, if I did study, it'd be like a little blip of a study. And I got like all A's, basically. I was like top 10% of my class. And so like taking tests was okay. Although standardized tests, I just in general, I just don't do good on them. I can't tell you why. I don't ever feel nervous. I just don't do good on them. But anyway, so I'm here at this internship or at this interview for the internship, and the way it works at this Fortune 500, at least when I went through it, you interview with different department heads, and the department head will then say, okay, out of all these people that I interviewed, I would like this particular person or these persons to work on my team or be a part of this. And of course, some of the things that go into it, I learned after the fact is, your personability, your skill set to a degree. I mean, they do know you're still going through college, your interests. So there's some markers. One of the markers was grades. Now, I started off with saying high school top 10% because college, I was not. My freshman year of college, my GPA was like a 2 something. And it wasn't even because I wasn't smart. It wasn't because I didn't know what I was doing. It was because it was a lot of testing that I was like, how the hell do I study for this stuff? Like I told you, high school for me was, okay, read a couple of pages, read a book or something like that. I'm good to go. I can go take a test. But in college, my freshman year was tough because it was like, okay, what am I doing? How do I study? And college was where I eventually learned how I actually study, which is through colors, pattern recognition, and mnemonics. That's just what works for me. So I can recall things. If I write it out on a note card or whatever, and I make it a certain color, I recall the color. Or if I do a mnemonics, I recall it. Like I've had an episode where I talked about a base that I called team, which is my team tasks, executions, and measures, which is an actual mnemonic, but it actually means something. So that's like a thing for me. And so I'm saying all that because grades played a part in this. And so my GPA was not where they wanted it to be. It was a 2, I don't remember what it's like a 2.7 or 2.8, something like that. And so they said, okay, well, all the other departments that I had talked to, they didn't really say grades. I mean, they kind of ask you what your GPA is, and you kind of get the look like, oh, well, you don't want her. And it was a mix. There was a mix of different backgrounds, different people that were doing the interviews at that executive level. And so I get to the help desk, and the guy that was there was like, you know what, you remind me of my daughter. And I honestly, now I cannot remember if the daughter was younger than me by a little bit or older than me by a little bit. But nevertheless, there was some type of, I reminded him of situation. So I actually got that internship. I got that internship knowing he knew that, my grades were where they were, but he took a chance on me. And I'm saying that because had he not taken that chance on me, to be honest with you, I don't know where exactly I would be in terms of, so what I do in IT is some of what I do is with certain software, really big software products. And so there was a skill set that was developed there, but the only way I would develop that skill set was because of the initial entry point, which was this help desk job, right? And I'm saying that because you never know what you don't know. I remember reaching out to him on LinkedIn, the manager that hired me as an intern, reaching out to him on LinkedIn a few years back and just genuinely telling him thanks. Now, don't get me wrong. I told him thank you when I got the internship, and the help desk time that I was there was great. I mean, back then they were doing what's called re-imaging of a machine, which basically is like how you kind of upgrade your machine. That's probably the easiest way to explain it. How you upgrade your computer or something. Instead of now you can kind of get stuff downloaded, via the internet, and then you're upgraded. They would send out physical CDs to field agents, and that's how you would the field agents would have to follow the instructions. They're basically supposed to just put the CD in, and it plays it doesn't play, it loads the data, and then it upgrades the system for them. They just click next. That's what they're supposed to do. I had this one call that I was taking at the help desk, and mind you, the help desk is me and it's other actual grown-ups that are full-time, me as an intern. And I remember taking this call, and this field sales guy called in. He goes, yeah, so I'm trying to get the pictures off of my computer. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, try to walk them through. We troubleshoot. It's help desk. You troubleshoot that kind of stuff. And you walk them through, have you done this? Have you done that? Yes, I've done that. I'm not seeing it. What's up, Bold Move besties? Guess what I'm offering? Government contract coaching for small businesses. It is your opportunity to get the real, the relevant, and the way to do government contracting correctly with the federal, local, and state government. Inside, you will get details on how to start in government contracting all the way through winning your first contract, which is, by the way, not guaranteed, but we're trying to get you there. So if you're interested, please sign up in the link below, and I will catch you in the next cohort. Go ahead and apply today. Visit readyswipegov.com to get started. Come to find out, this guy, he'd been working with the company for, at least a few years, where he's gotten a number of these upgrade CDs sent to him. In an attempt to try to, this is what I uncovered in this help desk call, in an attempt to try to recover the pictures because he had ran that initial CD, he ran all the CDs from since he started on his machine, and his machine was trash. Like, he had to FedEx it or UPS it in physically so that it could be fixed. And it sucked because he lost his pictures, but I'm saying that because I can remember taking the call and I was done. I was laughing. I had to mute myself. I was laughing so hard because I couldn't believe it. Unfortunately, he was a bit exasperated. I get it. And I wasn't rude or anything. But one of my colleagues had to take the call because I was done. I couldn't even finish talking to help him, to be like, this is what we need to get from you. So anyway, that was a funny story for me, but it still holds true to a job that is non-governmental for me. But that's where I started as far as like IT and in the Fortune 500 space. I've eventually moved up. There was something I was going to come back to with the person. Oh yeah, I did say on LinkedIn, I did reach out to him and tell him thank you. I told him thank you like recently because, again, without him having the faith that I could pull through on the role, I don't know exactly where the trajectory of my career would be, but that help desk turned into moving into a global IT internship position where I was coding and doing web development. I'm going to date myself. For those of you who are nerds, it was when .NET first came out. So I was coding in Visual Basic .NET and did things with the global IT team. And then I eventually moved into the big software company package that I was talking about that I work on a regular in the data space. And so that's like the non-gov side of it. And it was fun. I will say during college, I also had, in conjunction with the internship and school, I also did, I took a role or a position. A friend of mine was like, you should come work, because the mall was not too far, like a really big mall was not too far. Literally, it was basically across the street from where I was for the internship and up the street from where I went to college. And so she was like, yeah, you should come to do this part-time. And I was like, why not? It was I don't know if I want to say the company. I won't say the company for now, but the company there was like, it was like a flagship store. And so I was like, okay, I'll go take a part-time position. So I took the part-time position. Now, me being me, I ended up, I'm not gonna say overstretching myself, because at this point when I did that, it was the part-time position. I was in my second or third year of college. So I had gotten better. So once I figured out my studies and how I learn, I, was able to adapt that. And so my grades got way better. I was back in the 3.0 situation. No, I did not break a 4.0 in undergrad. So, but I did bring my grades back up. And so anyway, so I go take this part-time position. The part-time position again was cashier in this flagship store. But then the store manager was like, hey, the company is launching this experimental beauty, beauty section. So as a flagship store, the normal store would just have just one section of products and whatnot. But the flagship store had sections of products, and then like a beauty section. So they had makeup and they had skincare within this flagship store. And they were like, we want to pilot this beauty expert, I think is what they called us, beauty expert program. And we want to pilot it at the flagship store because not obviously, but flagship stores usually get a lot of traffic, hence why they're flagship stores. And so I was like, oh yeah, I'd like to try that. Now, mind you, I'm not a big makeup wearer. I love eyeshadow, and I'll do a blush and I'll do like a mascara, and every now and again a lipstick, but I'm cool with just a gloss. But that's about the extent of it. I don't do the foundation. Now that I'm a little bit older and I have like dark circles normally, I do like a concealer. But all that to say, at the time I was not heavy into makeup, right? And so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. It sounds fun. And so you'd go in, you'd get training from the different makeup brands and from the different skincare brands. Like their estheticians would come in, and I forget what the beauty people were called. I don't remember what the beauty people were. I don't think they were necessarily makeup artists in that regards. I forget what their what their name was, but what their title was. But nevertheless, the beauty brand folks would come in and like talk about their products and what the latest colors are and how they're using it. And so I was in this program, this pilot program. We helped them launch it, and it was a success. Like, I don't know where it ended up being or where it ended up going after I had left, but it was a success. And I'm saying that because that was actually where the seed was planted to, I wanted to be an esthetician. Like, I was actually going to go to the Aveda Institute in DC and study anesthesiology before I had my first child. Like, that's how I was going to finish school, do my undergrad, do my grad, which I did, and then I was going to go to the Aveda Institute. And I went there, I toured it, I toured the Aveda Institute, and I was like, okay, bet, I'm going to go do this, because it was, to me, it was fun. Like, I liked the skincare elements of things. I liked the beauty, the health of it. That was fun for me. And then, of course, I liked the makeup part. And I ended up not doing it, clearly, but it was always something that intrigued me and interests me. Would I go back now and do it? No, probably not. Just the interest isn't there like it was before I started having kids. So that beauty specialist or beauty expert was what they called us then. I think it was beauty specialist. And then that transition, they wanted me to be the manager of the store. And I'm like, oh, pimpin', I'm not this. This was not intended to be like a full-time gig. This was just for fun for me. I actually have a full-time gig over here, and they actually gave me a job offer. And it wasn't like a cocky type of a thing. It really was. I was thankful that they considered me for it, but it just, that wasn't what I had intended to do. And so I left that particular establishment and started my full-time career path. And my full-time career path is actually in corporate, not in government. I didn't get into government work until 2007. So 2007 was when I started government consulting for another large company. And then I went on my own in 2000 and it's either 8 or 9. It was between my two kids. And then after that, I shut that one down because for those of you who are new, my daughters, I have 2 daughters who are now 16 and 14. But at the time, they were almost 3 and 7 months where my husband passed in 2011. So I shut down that consultancy that I had prior to him once he had passed, and went back corporate all the way. And so after that, opened up my current company, which is Capital Consulting Group, in 2014. And then that's when we went all the way in. So I started doing, corporate contracts, where I would do similar what I did in the government space, but it was corporate, and the data and the movement was a little more quicker. I remember coming into government contracting, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like turtles pace slow, coming from global Fortune 500s and running data sets and doing things. And it was like, oh my goodness. But it was cool. I mean, to have the experience to see both the corporate and the government side and be able to compare and contrast the two, I think helps to shape where I'm at and how I am today. So all I'm saying, I wanted to share a little bit of my background and how I got to where I am now. I don't think I've ever shared the different odd job. They're not odd, but the other jobs that I've had aside from what you guys know me for here on She Built Success. So, Boba Besties, I'd like to hear, what's a job that you may not be doing now, but you've done in your past? That's actually a fun one. That's your homework. Leave in the comments below. All right, I'll catch you on the next episode of She Built Success. Bye.